Hi everyone, today Crema released the roadmap for Temtem, and it looks amazing. So, let's dive in and see what Temtem has in store for the future. Before we begin, if you like what you see, share, subscribe, like, and leave a comment on what you're most excited about in Temtem. Or if you haven't heard of Temtem before, what you would like to know. Crema did give a bit of a caveat with their roadmap, and I want to make sure you understand that caveat. They say, please keep in mind that every detail discussed here is not 100% confirmed for the game. During the game's development cycle, ideas change constantly, and stuff we like today, we might not like as much tomorrow. So take everything in here not as confirmed facts, but more like the stuff we would like to include in the game. The same thing happens with the planned dates. We're not really big fans of having public dates for everything. They add a lot of unnecessary pressure on the team, and they make making changes and swapping features around a very difficult task. We know everyone else likes dates though, so we've decided to include open dates for each block of features. Take them with a grain of salt and expect delays and features moved around during those dates. That being said, and the caveat out of the way, let's dive into the roadmap. In this section, we're going to be focused on spring 2020 to fall 2020. So let's start with spring 2020. In spring 2020, we can expect ranked matchmaking version 1, spectator mode version 1, in-game chat, chat bubbles, and club management. In the summer of 2020, we can expect a new island, Kisiwa, 25 new Temtem, player housing, climbing gear, and emotes version 2. And finally, in fall of 2020, we can expect another new island, Sipanku, 25 more new Temtem, and the first Mythical Temtem, in-game tournaments, and a quest diary along with achievements. So let's dive into detail for some of these. Ranked Matchmaking version 1. The first iteration of the matchmaking will include a player rating system based on ELO, aka TMR, or Tamer Matchmaking Rating. Players will start with some placement matches which will define their initial TMR, and after that, they will be matched with each other based on their current TMR. For this first iteration of the matchmaking, they plan to give Pansun rewards for each victory as a reward for the time spent battling, based on the opponent's TMR. Although probably, they say, this feature will be disabled when the feature launches, until the system is fully tested and stabilized. So what does this mean? We are going to get MMR or TMR for Temtem. For those that have reached Endgame and want to battle others across the globe for Pansuns. I can see an esports scene developing here. Temtem wants to be the premier esport for monster taming, and this is their first step, to introduce a TMR, something that has not been done in the past, for any monster capture game or monster taming game, at least not that I'm aware of. I'm pretty excited to see how they do this and how it pans out, and I'm going to be pretty excited to be along for the ride, honestly. Uh, they will be tweaking balance constantly, so it should be interesting to see how the balance in the TMR scene develops. They might have a specific set of Temtem that are allowed to be in competitive, and those that are OP in the meta are kept out of the pool. So they might nerf those and then add them in, and that way you get some semblance of balance. We'll see what they do though. Let's move on to Temtem autoscaling. They say this is probably one of the hottest topics in the community. We know it is very important for competitive players to jump into the competitive scene as quickly as possible and reduce the time and friction needed to tweak and test new stuff. So our idea to solve this is to introduce autoscaling into the ranked queue. Autoscaling will essentially perfect your temps, upping all of their single values up to 50 for the battle and their level to the current level cap, which, as we all know, currently sits at 48. With autoscaling, players will still need to capture and organize their teams, set their preferred training values, spread using fruits or training, obtain the necessary gear, completing the main or side quests in the game, and breeding for their desired egg techniques. But players won't need to grind for the perfect SVs or single values, or spend a fortune breeding to reach that point. This autoscaling will only apply to the ranked matchmaking queue. So there will be other game modes where having a perfect Temtem and breeding for them will be necessary. For example, in-game tournaments, player-organized tournaments, and battles, Dojo Club Wars, Endgame PvE, etc., etc., etc. So the grind is still going to be there, boys and girls, so don't worry. They will still exist where you will be on the hunt for that perfect single value Temtem. So what does this mean? So Temtem autoscaling is basically autoscaled to 50 single value points for queue, for the ranked queue rather, but you still need to set up your remaining training values and divvy them up however you want using fruits and or training. So it leaves a lot of room for strategy and will definitely make for some one-sided battles where someone hasn't quite gotten the meta down and they go in and they put the training values on the wrong stats and then just get destroyed. I'm pretty excited to try this out once I finish the game, while simultaneously trying to get my perfect team of Luma out in the real world, not in the competitive scene. Let's move on to Spectator Mode version 1. Basically, players will be able to spectate other players while they're playing a competitive match. While spectating, only the common info will be displayed, for example, health points and stamina percentages, team composition after the pick and ban stages and status conditions, techniques used, etc. So players won't be able to use this feature to get a leverage over their opponents. They hope including this feature will also help tournament organizers solve some of the issues they are currently facing. Okay, first of all, who's organizing these tournaments? And I want in. But seriously, Temtem as an esport makes so much sense. It's like it's going to be a spillover to the real world where kids wake up, train to get their Temtem, strong enough to eventually compete for prizes all over the world. I keep getting more and more excited about this aspect of it as I look through the roadmap, and so should you, I think, because esports is the way of the future for any game, and Temtem's already planning for it, and I'm glad that they are. And especially with the advent of AR, or augmented reality, and virtual reality, Temtem is pretty much at the forefront right now, I think, for this type of game, to be the premier monster tamer for this generation. And if they include augmented reality and virtual reality as part of that as they progress, we might even get things like real life Pokemon battles where you've got your augmented reality Pokemon in front of you and you're just battling other people randomly in the streets. Let's stop there with the spectator mode and going all out, and let's move on to in-game chat. The chat will feature several predefined chat groups, for example, global, local, trade, club, and so on. It will also support private messaging between users, or whispers. They're also going to add chat bubbles, which will appear above every talking character. Some might find chat bubbles a bit intrusive, so they will give players the choice between two different levels of chat bubbles, displaying the full text or just a notification to know that you've talked, or disable them entirely. So I guess 3 options. Another feature that I'm looking forward to. Right now, all you can do is emote at people, and that doesn't really seem to do anything in game. They just ignore you. They keep walking. They keep doing their own thing. And I want to be able to say random things to strangers, entice them, lure them into a Temtem battle or Temtemming up. On to club management. Clubs are Temtem's take on clans. They have 2 main features. 1, the ability to create a club, assign a banner to it, name it, and invite friends to join. And the second is Dojo Wars. So we'll go over that in or down below. So just be on the lookout for that. It does sound like a cool idea, but we'll get into the details shortly. Housing. Every Temtem player will be able to get a house. There will be unlimited quantities of houses in Atoll Row. You will just need to worry about decorating your house. There will be furniture stores on each island, and they will provide different styles of furniture, just like the clothing boutiques do now. You will be able to host parties at your house, and in the long run, they plan on adding things like fruit trees, incubators, and jukeboxes to the houses as well. This will make socializing in the game a lot easier, I think, and make it feel more like an MMO, where you might even have a clubhouse that will be larger than the rest, and all club members would be able to access it. I don't know if they will actually do this, and you'll see why in the Dojo Wars. So let's keep going. On to achievements. The main takeaway here is that some will potentially give in-game rewards. So it won't just be your Steam achievements that sit there. There will be potentially some that give you rewards that you can use in-game. Alright, so that was a lot of talking. Let me take a quick break. What? No? Please? No? Wow, okay, fine. Okay, let's move on to the midterm roadmap then. This section of the video will be broken down into winter 2020, spring 2021, and summer 2021. In winter 2020, we can expect another new island, Arbory, 30 new Temtem, another mythical Temtem, Club Dojo Wars, Trading House, Ranked Matchmaking version 2, and Spectator Mode version 2. In spring 2021, we can expect console ports. Come on, give me a Switch. 1.0 launch, Endgame Island, daily and weekly quests, battle replay system, and a cosmetic store. And in summer of 2021, we can expect Nuzlocke mode, a third mythical Temtem, I'm assuming not the final, but third, an arcade bar, draft PvP, and a cosmetic battle pass. Not gonna lie, the midterm roadmap makes me somewhat apprehensive. They seem to be moving towards a free-to-play model with cosmetics that will drive the economy of the game for them in terms of income. Hopefully they transition in a reasonable way and we don't end up with the crazy skins for Temtem. With that being said, let us dive into some of the features that I just mentioned for winter 2020 through summer 2021. Another caveat from Crema before we start in respects to the midterm roadmap. This section of the roadmap includes features that are very, very far away. So details about these features aren't yet fully designed and there's a lot of room for change. Dojo Wars. We talked about this earlier, let's get into it. Each island in the archipelago will hold a club dojo, so 6 in total, which players will be able to conquer and hold. Clubs will be able to challenge the current dojo leaders each week by participating in an in-game tournament and battling with other participant clubs in predefined timeframes during different days based on the dojo they want to capture. Once a club has conquered a dojo, they will be able to declare it, or they will be able to decorate it, and obtain rewards for their members during the time they hold it. So this fits in the phase of my clubhouse idea initially, which I thought was, a good idea. If you want a clubhouse, you have to take a dojo, but in doing so, you do get some unique rewards, so I guess there's that. This should keep PvP interesting and will give clubs something to do every week and ensure that they get rewards for holding the dojos. Trading House. This is the auction house. They aren't pushing this out too quickly, and I'm glad because, as they say, we know there's a lot of hype about the Trading House, and some of you may be wondering why we aren't pushing this feature to come out sooner. The Trading House is a huge feature. It requires a lot of planning, a lot of work, and testing. So we don't want to rush it, and we want to have enough time to properly develop it in the way we want to. So you'll likely be able to have timed auctions when it does come out, live auctions, and random trades. Keep in mind, none of this is confirmed. It's all tentative in relation to the Trading House. Now, matchmaking version 2. This will be the dawn of medals and seasons in matchmaking. Each season will not have a patch during it. This is to ensure stable competitive scenarios during the whole season. I like this idea, that they are taking it slow to figure out their MMR TMR before diving into seasons. This also lets them plan their battle passes around the seasons, so it makes sense to do it this way. Not much I can say about that. I agree with it. Spectator Mode version 2. The second iteration of the spectator mode will be totally oriented to the professional scene. Esport. It will present the ability to create competitive lobbies where players will be able to invite spectators and casters, which will have more spectate options, changing which player they are spectating, what they are choosing to do during the turn, or more advanced statistics, and more options geared to organizing and casting professional tournaments in a more efficient way. And there it is, the clearest indication that Temtem is planning on becoming an esport. I'm looking forward to playing around with the spectator mode, honestly, and diving into the competitive scene headfirst and creating tournaments for you lot in the future. So let's go, let's do this. On to consoles and the 1.0 release. We will likely get crossplay with the consoles at 1.0. The thing they mentioned might be a bit more difficult to do will be cross-save. Right now, if you look at it, you don't really log into Temtem. You simply just use your login details from the platform that you're using, so Steam or Discord. So it might not be available with release 1.0. That doesn't mean that we won't get it eventually, but they are saying that tentatively it might not be possible when they do release it. Onto the Endgame Island. There will be a mini island fully dedicated to endgame activities, something similar to the Battle Frontier in a you-know-what game. The island will have different 3, 4, 5 buildings, each one with its own mechanics, but all relative to Temtem battles, where players will be able to enter and win rewards based on their performance. These buildings will be mostly focused on PvE activities and will reward players with pansons and items for their invested time. I've never really gotten to Pokemon's Battle Frontier, so I don't know what that's like. Some of you might have, so you might not know, or you might know. Let us know in the comment section below what that's like. And I think it's a pretty interesting idea to provide players with another way to earn some reward, so I'm definitely on board with it. Looking forward to testing it out. On to the Cosmetics Battle Pass. Okay, let's get into it. After launch, we're aiming to introduce a Battle Pass-esque system, which will introduce an additional leveling system for players during the current season. With a seasonal pass, players will be able to obtain certain seasonal cosmetics for free just by playing the game during the season and completing objectives. And it will also feature a premium version with even more cosmetics and non-pay-to-win rewards. Hi Fortnite, thanks for ruining games. So basically, a Battle Pass like any other. You have free items and you can go premium, pay, and get more exclusive skins. I don't really like Battle Pass systems, honestly, but I mean, there are some perks to them. I'm curious what these cosmetics will be, though. Will they just be player side, or will they allow you to deck out your Temtem? Will be interesting to see what route they go. Battle Passes in general are a slight turnoff for me, mainly because they force you to play the same game to get your money's worth, and there are a lot of good games that are always coming out. Temtem, though, I love, so I won't mind. I might even get a Battle Pass or two. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what they include. But I'll definitely be doing reviews of that stuff in the future as well, so I'll probably be getting it. Now the Nuzlocke mode. For those of you unfamiliar with the Nuzlocke game mode, it is basically a hardcore difficulty mode for the game. In Nuzlocke, every time one of your Tems gets knocked out, it will be permanently released. Also, the amount of capturable Tems is limited, and you will only be able to capture 1 or 2 per area, so you'll have to perfectly balance your resources in order to complete the game. Nuzlocke players will play on a different instance of the server, and they will only play around other Nuzlocke players. Trading will be limited due to the Nuzlocke rules, but PvP will not. So if you're brave enough, you will be able to duel other players and face a permanent loss. This is basically Game Mode Plus, or Hard Mode, call it what you will. I will definitely be diving into this mode. Hopefully you get to do some extra save files versus just the one that you currently exists in order to be able to play this mode at the same time as having a regular save. I know it's a different instance, but I don't know if that will affect the save files. We'll see. But that's almost everything coming our way until summer 2021 in relation to Temtem. At least what they've told us. I hope you have a much better idea of what's coming after watching this video, after listening to me spiel for the last, almost 20 minutes. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment in the comment section below. I try my best to answer every question I can, so if you have one, leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer it. Also, follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Mixer. My links are in the description below. Temtem up, and I'll see you in the next video.